It's What If Issei Was Betrayed and Got Sea Monster Powers Part 5. So, right where we left off, Issei and his crew are in the abandoned church. They fixed it up to where it does not look like a church anymore, though. It actually looks like a mansion right now. But on the outside, to everyone else, it would look like a church. The old abandoned church it was before. Just to cause no suspicion, there was an illusion barrier that Loki set up outside. No one could really see through it unless it was Sir Zex or Azazel themselves. And, yeah, Issei was training all the actual people that joined him. He was training the actual stray devils, all the devils that he could catch and get into his group. He was training all of them. And he was also training Loki and Cocoville a little. Which they didn't really think they needed it, but yeah, Issei just proved with his power, yeah, you guys do need it. Considering you're not even 1/4 of my 1% of power. And this shocked them. Because, well, they forgot that they were rusted away. Because they were in prison for so long that, yeah, the actual effects of the prison did take hold. Which the effects was, it dulled down their magic and their power. So they're quite weak right now. So Issei had to, pull off his plans of attacking immediately so he could train his army, which they did at the church. But Issei also went to school. So this is Issei's first day to school because he signed up last time. He put his name as Issei Hyoko because, well, he wanted them to know or be surprised from his first name. But not exactly be able to piece it together while it being super obvious who he is. But he figures they're all dumbasses anyway. They won't be able to find out. Which, when he walked into Kyohai the next morning, after he trained them for a while, yeah, everyone looked at him because he was very attractive now. And, yeah, the females looked like they wanted a piece of him. The guys looked at him with envy and jealousy because he was already popular and he just transferred there. And yeah, once Issei walked onto the premises, there was a barrier that alerted Rias and her barrage that someone with immense power has just came through. Because he has magic. Issei has tons of magic and tons of power. So the barrier that Rias placed on the school was one to detect supernatural beings, which it detected Issei. So she's kind of on high alert right now already. So Issei's just walking onto the campus and just walks all the way into the school, sees the lockers and everything, and sees some bullies that he used to have. And yeah, they don't really recognize him. But since he's really attractive and they're jealous, they decide, let's go ahead and beat the shit out of him. So there's 5 of them. They're rushing at Issei. And all Issei does is take one step and he's behind all of them. All of them are on the ground, beaten to a bloody pulp. And he didn't have to do a thing. To everyone else, they just fell on the ground and they're just whining. No. Issei literally, a little flashback now. Issei, as soon as they were charging, he ran so quickly that the human eye couldn't see. He punched the one to the left, and the ribs, breaking them. He broke his ribs. And he elbowed the one to the right, in the jaw, breaking his jaw, grabbed the one in the middle, and slammed his face against the locker, and he tripped the other one. He tripped the one that was beside him, also breaking his ankle. And with the last one, all he did was kick him in the nuts as hard as he could, which cracked his nuts. Which, ouch. And they all fell down. Now back to Issei in prison. He's just walking through, and they all saw what just happened, but they didn't see Issei do a damn thing. This made them kind of scared. And some of them just thought it was probably just a fluke or something. The idiots thought that, because, well, there's no fluke of someone having their nuts cracked, but hey, who knows? Issei's just walked up the stairs to his classroom, Everyone fawning over, all the girls fawning over him. All the guys give him daggers, get theirs. And he gives one back and it just shuts them off completely. And they shut up and they look away. Because Issei is pretty much the alpha right now. He already asserted his dominance. And he knocks at the door to his classroom, his old classroom. He knocks on it. Teacher says, "Oh, I forgot we have a new transfer student. His name is Issei, and once Konako hears Issei, which Konako is in Issei's class, and she's in the back. Once she hears Issei, she freezes and shudders in fear, because she's remembering the words that Issei said. And she's quite scared, which, just so you know, Issei has heightened senses, so he can also smell the fear. Somehow. So he can smell Konako's fear, and he smiles a little behind the door, which no one really sees. And yeah, the teacher resumes, "Issei Hyoko," and Konako calms down, thinking it could be a different person because, well, there's millions of people that have the same exact name sometimes. So Issei walks in. All the girls are fawning over him. Konako has some hard eyes. And Issei just looks at her with disgust once he notices this. And she's wondering what the hell did she do to him. And if she knew who this was, she wouldn't really be giving those hard eyes. She'd give the eyes of, "Please do not kill me. And please don't destroy my liver or my actual bones. Or grind me to a pulp." Which is what Issei was thinking of doing. So Issei just stares around. He contains his rage for Konako. And just decides to walk to a seat when the teacher says, "Aren't you going to introduce yourself?" And Issei says, "I don't need to introduce myself to insects." And he just sits down right in front of Konako. And everyone's giving him daggered eyes now. Because they just all got called insects. And yeah. Issei's just putting up this actual act so people won't go near him. Because he doesn't want any of them near him. He might be able to contain his rage, but he doesn't want people that have shunned him or people who have beaten him in the past or have ridiculed him or thought that he was a rapist in the past to talk to him again. So he distanced himself by saying that. And he's in front of Konako, which he's sitting in front of Konako, which Konako nudges his shoulder, like nudges his sleeve of his arm, and asks, "Do you by chance know Issei Hyodo?" Because she thinks that it's not Issei Hyodo, but the name appearing kind of put her on edge still a little. So she just asks. And Issei just looks at her and calmly says, "No, I do not know anyone known as Issei Hyodo. Why would you ask?" And she had the face of guilt, which he says, "You look quite guilty. Do you want to talk about something?" And he gives us a soft smile and is just emanating warmness. So Konako is actually feeling quite depressed, actually, because, well, she didn't really want to go through with a plan to do that to Issei, but she was forced to. And Issei doesn't really care too much about this. He wants to get revenge on all of them, so the quickest way he could get information on the ORC is to friend Konako. So Issei just puts up this kind front, and Konako just buys it like she's buying something from a candy store. And she just says, "Could I talk to you after this class?" And Issei just nods and turns around, smirking a little in his mind, and is paying attention to the teacher while he's talking. And afterwards, they're going to lunch, and Issei just says, "Hey Konako, come on." And Issei just brings Konako with him, and they go into the cafeteria, and Issei gets his food,
with some extra servings, which she's confused about because he just got extra mashed potatoes, extra steak. He also got extra corn, and he got some sweets. And then he looks up and he sees this giant, fat, old, really wrinkly lady. And she's just smiling at him and waving and giving the most "I'm gonna fuck you" eyes. Giving the most "you're about to get fucked." And yeah, Issei's just panicking, and Konako is laughing at this slightly. And Issei just, grabs Konako and just starts running. And Konako has just gotten her tray, though the sweets were all out. So Issei grabs her and goes all the way to the roof. They're eating on the roof of the school, and yeah, Issei notices Konako doesn't have any sweets, and knows that Konako likes sweets. So Issei is like, if I want to befriend her quicker, I should probably hand her some sweets. So he hands her actual lollipop, which was given to him by the lunch lady, which really creeped him out because he was having a little flashback when he picked up the lollipop. He gave it to Konako and said, "Here you go. You looked like you wanted it." And Konako grabbed the lollipop and was very thankful and said, "Thank you, Issei-kun," which, yeah, this gave flashbacks to Issei, when Konako used to call him Issei-kun before, in respect, and this kind of caused a bit of rage in Issei's mind. He was kind of letting out some of his rage on the outside, but it was only because his fist was clenched and blood was coming out. But Konako did not see this, because he put his hand behind his back while doing this, and was just talking to Konako on autopilot, while thinking of all the horrible things he's going to do to the ORC for betraying him. And to definitely to the fallen angels, especially Azazel, for his betrayal. He trusted them, and they just threw away like dirt. So Issei is on autopilot talking to Konako, and they're bonding, is what Konako thinks. And Konako has been depressed for a while, and everything was bottling up, so she just spills what happened. She just tells Issei, "Do you believe in the supernatural?" And Issei says, "Yes, I do. I'm actually a supernatural myself." And this catches her off guard. And Issei ends up popping out devil wings. And Konako just smiles and realizes that he's going to understand more of what's happening. And if you're wondering how Issei was able to pop out devil wings, even though his pieces were removed, those aren't actually devil wings. It's an illusion. Because he, later on, after breaking out Loki, got Loki to teach him some illusion magic, since he had aptitude for magic now. But, yeah. So Konako fell for that, thought those were actual devil wings, and Issei just pretended to pop them back up when they just faded away. And, yeah, Konako felt more, safe to tell Issei about what happened, and she explains how Surzex ended up making this plan to get, the boosted gear for himself. But things didn't go according to plan because, Azazel ended up striking Issei down and couldn't retrieve the body. So neither Azazel or Surzex managed to get the boosted gear, or any of the power that comes with it. This is the main reason why they betrayed this person called Issei Hyodo, which I actually very much was fond of, but I had to betray him because of Rias's greed, Surzex's complete greed, and Rias's greed with Azazel's. They all just wanted the power. They wanted all of that without the Issei. And she's breaking down, and Issei on the inside is smiling, because while she is, remorseful, she didn't do a damn thing when it meant. being on the sidelines and just watching it happen is almost as bad as doing it yourself, in his eyes. So, on the outside, he was, patting her on the back and saying, it's okay, and giving her an embrace. But on the inside, he's laughing maniacally, saying, you deserve it, you fucking bitch. And he's enraged on the inside, but on the outside, he's cool, calm, and collected. And Konako finally stops after a few hours of crying into his chest, and Konako starts purring a little bit, which Issei is caught off guard and says, why are you purring exactly? Because Issei knows that she's a Neko, but can't really openly say this because she'd wonder how he knew. And she just explains that she's a Neko, and she was kind of in a daze because of the scent, which Issei was kind of caught off guard on. And Issei just said, it looks like we gotta go to our next classes. You want to come with me, Konako? And Konako and Issei just walked down from the roof all the way to their classes. They hung out the whole day, and Issei was about to walk all the way back to his base, but as soon as he's about to leave campus, in the front gate is Rias Grimmery herself. And Issei, his anger that he was able to control, was about to break loose. But Drake was speaking his mind and saying, partner, don't do it now. We can do it later. We can rip them apart later. We can make them suffer everything that you've suffered. And Issei just calmed down and walked up towards Rias, trying to walk past her. Rias touched him, and that set Issei off immediately. Issei just slapped her hand away and said, get off me, filthy woman. And Rias was shocked because, well, Rias heard from Konako that day that he was very friendly. And she was wondering what the hell happened for a personality switch to occur. And this rose some suspicion with Rias, because she was already thinking about Issei, because the body wasn't found, thinking that he could have been alive. And some guy with the same name, first name, appeared. But she noticed all the differences from Issei, so she just shrugged that off. And she asked Issei if he could join her barrage, which Issei was thinking in his head. Should he? If he does, he could get closer to all of them and eliminate them. And he could get vastly better information than just trying to use Konako like his original plan. And Drake says, yes, you should, because you can rip out the pawn pieces or the pieces out of your chest immediately when you're about to betray them. And the thing is, it won't kill you because of your overwhelming strength. And you face a lot worse than ripping out some pawn pieces. So yeah, I'd take her offer, pretend to take it, and then we can get our army trained up. We can get more information, we can know times that we can attack at. We gotta be strategical about this, partner. And Issei, this is all in Issei's mind, and Issei just says, let me think about it. I'm pretty sure I'll say yes, and I might appear tomorrow and accept your offer. And Rias is smiling, thinking she got a really impressive person, because she could sense the aura coming off of him. And she's just smiling to herself, walking all the way to the ORC, and Issei just glares daggers at her back, and he actually lets some killing intent go through, which she turns around, but Issei's already gone. And she's wondering what the hell that was. But she shrugs it off and just walks to the ORC, feeling kind of like an ominous presence was staring at her, but she's just ignored it. And Issei just walked off all the way to the abandoned church, which is a mansion now. And he just walked in, walked towards the door, opened it, just winged it open, closed it behind him, and saw Kokoville and Loki on the couch. And he told them both, I got some news for you. Well, I'm going to join Rias' barrage again. And they both had their jaws dropped and said, wait, what? Are you going to literally join her barrage after all she did. And why would you do such a thing? Are you going to get rid of your revenge? Are you forgiving them for what they did? I didn't think that was possible. And Issei says, no. I'm pretending to join. I'm ripping the pieces out afterwards. When we launch our attacks, it's just for information. And they just ask, wouldn't you die from doing that? And Issei says, for being as powerful as I, ripping a few pieces out of my soul won't really kill me. It'll just be painful as hell. And he just chuckles to himself. And they're looking at him in awe. And they're thinking we picked the right person to follow. And Issei just says, alright, get your asses in gear. I'm joining the next day. I'm going to appear in the ORC and join. And, well, let's just go ahead and say, I'll get some information that will help us in the future. I've already gotten some from a certain spy that I had, which I don't think any of them will suspect. And he's laughing to himself in his mind and smiling on the outside sinisterly. And this just sends chills through Loki and Kokovil's bones. And Issei tells him one more thing. Also, you guys might need to know this later on. I might be transforming into something different. Right now, I'm still partially human. But later on, I might transform into something else. I don't know what it is. But I was warned by Cthulhu at one point. We're going to go to a little flashback when he was asleep at the manor. He was going to sleep, and all of a sudden, Cthulhu appeared in his dream and decided to notify him of a certain evolution he's going to go through. Cthulhu appeared, and there was fog all around, and Issei saw that there was water on the floor, tons of it, immersing him in the water. And he saw Cthulhu underwater with him. And he just said, Cthulhu, why did you appear? And he said, I appeared because you don't know this, but because of all of us mixing a part of ourselves in with you and giving our power to you, you may be evolving into a creature that's a hybrid of all of us. You won't be as strong as any of us, but you'll be partially as. Like, you may be a quarter as strong as us. You'll be able to go up head to head against Surzex, Azazel, and the Infinity Dragon all together. I can assure you that. But your transformation is going to be a painful ass one. Your bones will start to melt, and they will rearrange. They won't be crushed, they'll melt completely, and rearrange and reforge. And this will also melt your skin and reforge it, making it as if it was a katana being repeatedly beat over and over, being forged and folded into the ultimate weapon. And Cthulhu just disappeared into flashback, and Issei just explains what happened. And this is the first time they heard about Cthulhu training him. And they heard it was sealed long ago, but they didn't know who trained Issei. So Issei just says, oh yeah, it wasn't just Cthulhu though, which got them their immediate attention, and also their admiration. For such a being as Cthulhu to train him, he must be very impressive. More impressive than they thought. So Issei just says, I gotta go to bed, because my actual transformation is making me more tired by the second. And also keeping up that shitty act was just nerve-wracking, seeing their faces. And he just goes up to his room, leaving all of them to train. Loki and Kokovil were training the recruits. And yeah, Issei went to his bed, fell asleep. And that's the end of part 5. I know there wasn't that much action, but, well, this is just building up tensions for later on. Okay, aside from that, later on I might be getting more upgrades to my equipment, hopefully. Which is a good news. Anyway, Wacky Anime, What If, leaving, and I hope all of you have wonderful days.